The dust-choked air of the Wyoming Badlands hung heavy as Vincent dropped to his knees in the shadow of the ranch house porch, his voice cracking like dry thunder. "Please take him instead of me," he begged the old rancher, eyes locked on Bobby's bruised face, the boy he'd sworn to protect since they were kids stealing kisses behind the hay barn. The rancher, Harlan Crow, a grizzled monument to forgotten frontiers with a face carved from red rock and eyes like spent cartridges, stayed silent for what felt like an eternity, his calloused hand frozen on the shotgun propped against his boot, before he finally rasped, "Get up, boy. I ain't leavin' neither of you to rot out here." In that suspended heartbeat, Vincent's world fractured, the echo of his father's drunken rage still ringing from the night before, the sting of Bobby's split lip a fresh accusation against his failure to shield him, and now this Harlan's mercy, a rope thrown into the abyss that pulled them both under its weight. As the old man's shadow swallowed them whole, Vincent clutched Bobby's hand, feeling the pulse of a love too wild for the straight-laced veins of small-town America, a love that had bloomed in secret fields and now demanded to be reckoned with, no matter the cost. The ranch sprawled like a half-forgotten dream across the high plains, a patchwork of barbed wire and sagebrush where the wind whispered sins no church would absolve. Harlan had built it with his own sweat after the war, Korean, not the one folks romanticized, losing a leg to shrapnel and gaining a limp that matched his cynicism. He wasn't one for strays, but something in Vincent's plea, raw as a gut-shot horse, cracked the varnish on his solitude. "Y'all got 3 months probation," he'd growled that first dawn, handing them pitchforks at the corral. "Work it off. Keep your heads down. And don't make me regret this." Vincent, at 22, was all lean muscle and shadowed eyes, the kind of handsome that turned heads in Laramie dives but hid a storm of doubt. Born to a oil rig roughneck who preached fire and brimstone on Saturdays and swung fists on Sundays, he'd learned early to bury his heart deep. Bobby, a year younger, was his opposite, golden-haired, freckle-dusted, with a laugh that could coax wildflowers from cracked earth. They'd met at 13 in the back pews of St. Mary's, passing notes folded like prayers, their fingers brushing longer than forgiveness allowed. By 16, those notes were confessions scrawled in the dark, and by 18, they were each other's salvation in a town that would have burned them at the stake for it. The first weeks on the ranch were a grind of mending fences and mucking stalls, the kind of labor that left bones aching and minds mercifully blank. Harlan watched them like a hawk, his silence a judgment sharper than words. Vincent threw himself into the work, hauling hay bales that weighed near as much as his regrets, stealing glances at Bobby when the sun dipped low and painted him in hues of amber and regret. "You think he knows?" Bobby whispered one evening, as they forked manure under the barn's eaves, the air thick with the scent of earth and exertion. Vincent paused, sweat tracing rivers down his spine. "If he does, he'll send us packin'. Or worse." But in the quiet hours after, when Harlan's snores rattled the main house like distant thunder, they'd slip out to the creek that bordered the property, a silver ribbon under cottonwoods where the world felt vast enough for two boys in love. There, with the water murmuring secrets, Vincent would pull Bobby close, their breaths mingling in the chill night air. "I ain't lettin' go," Vincent murmured against his neck, fingers tracing the curve of his jaw, the soft give of his lips. Bobby's response was always a kiss fierce as frontier justice, hands roaming with the hunger of the starved. It was on one such night, a fortnight in, that the first crack appeared, not in Harlan, but in the fragile truce they'd built. Bobby had been quieter that day, his usual spark dimmed by a letter from home. His ma, sick with the cough that had claimed his pa, pleading for him to come back and work the family spread before it foreclosed. "I can't leave you," Bobby said, crumpling the paper in his fist. But Vincent saw the pull, the invisible tether yanking at his heart. "You gotta think about her," Vincent replied, though the words tasted like ash. They lay tangled on a blanket by the creek, stars wheeling overhead like indifferent gods, Bobby's head on Vincent's chest. The rhythm of their breathing synced, slow and deep, until Bobby shifted, his hand sliding under Vincent's shirt, palm warm against the taut plane of his belly. "Make me forget," Bobby breathed, and Vincent did, kisses turning urgent, bodies arching in the moon's forgiving light. Vincent's mouth trailed fire down Bobby's throat, over the hollow of his collarbone, tasting salt and need. Bobby gasped, fingers digging into Vincent's shoulders as he guided him lower, their world narrowing to the slick heat of skin on skin, the ragged symphony of moans swallowed by the night. But dawn brought Harlan's summons, his voice a gravelly bark across the yard. "Vincent, get your ass in here." The old man stood in the kitchen, a mug of black coffee steaming in his grip. The letter from Bobby's ma spread open on the scarred oak table like an accusation. "Boy tells me you're the reason he run off." "That true?" Vincent's blood turned to ice, but he met Harlan's gaze square. "He run 'cause his pa's gone and the bank's circlin'. I came along 'cause I couldn't let him face it alone." A lie wrapped in truth. Harlan's eyes narrowed, searching for the fracture. "You too. You ain't just friends, are ya?" The question hung, loaded as a chambered round. Vincent's throat tightened, the air thick with the scent of frying bacon and unspoken verdicts. "We're whatever we need to be to survive," Vincent said finally, voice steady as rained thunder. Harlan grunted, folding the letter with hands that trembled just a fraction. Age or something deeper? Vincent couldn't tell. Survival's a cold bedfellow. But this ranch, it don't tolerate weakness. Or secrets that fester. He paused, then shoved a plate across the table. "Eat. Then saddle up." Fence line on the North 40 needs check-in. Bobby joined them minutes later, oblivious to the undercurrent, his smile a sunrise chasing shadows. But as they rode out that morning, horses kicking up dust devils in their wake, Vincent felt the weight of Harlan's words settle like lead in his gut. The plains stretched endless, a canvas of gold and green under a sky bruised with promise. And for a moment, with Bobby riding beside him, wind whipping their hair, Vincent let himself believe in a future carved from this wild land. They raced the sun to the horizon, laughter bubbling free, hands brushing reins in coded affection. Yet secrets, like weeds, thrive in silence. Harlan had lost a brother to the war, a man whispered about in town as that way inclined, hanged by his own regiment for loving where he shouldn't. The old rancher carried that ghost in his limp, in the way he stared too long at the horizon. Watching Vincent and Bobby, their easy touches, the stolen looks, stirred it awake, a bitterness that soured his coffee and sharpened his solitude. By month's end, the ranch pulsed with an undercurrent of tension, like thunderheads gathering on the edge of summer. Bobby's ma wrote again. The bank's notice final. Auction in 2 weeks. He showed it to Vincent in the tack room, lamplight flickering over their faces like guilty confessions. "I gotta go," Bobby said, voice breaking. "Just for a bit. Help her pack up. Sell what we can." Vincent's world tilted. "And leave me here? With him watching like a damn coyote?" Jealousy laced his words, irrational and hot. Bobby cupped his face, thumbs brushing tears Vincent hadn't realized were falling. It's us against the world, Vin. Always has been. Their kiss was desperate, a clash of teeth and tongues, Bobby pressing Vincent back against the saddle racks, hands fumbling with belt buckles. The scent of leather and hay enveloped them as Vincent lifted Bobby onto a stack of blankets, their bodies moving in frantic rhythm, slow grinds building to urgent thrusts, gasps echoing off wooden beams. Vincent buried himself deep, whispering promises into Bobby's ear. "Come back to me. Swear it. I swear," Bobby panted, nails raking down Vincent's back. Their release a shared shudder that left them boneless, entwined in the afterglow. But oaths, in the Badlands, were as fragile as morning mist. Bobby left at dawn 3 days later, Harlan lending him the truck with a nod that spoke volumes. "Tell your ma Harlan Crow sends his regards. And boy, watch your back in that town." Vincent stood at the gate, dust cloud swallowing the taillights, his heart a hollow echo in the vastness. The days without Bobby stretched like barbed wire across Vincent's soul. Harlan filled the void with work, endless, backbreaking, branding calves under a merciless sun, repairing irrigation ditches that snaked through the arroyos like veins. In the evenings, over plates of beans and cornbread, the old man probed gently at first, stories of Vincent's pa, the bruises hidden under long sleeves, the way small-town eyes judged before they knew. "Folks round here," Harlan said one night, fire crackling in the hearth, "they fear what they don't understand. Love's the worst offender." Vincent froze, fork midway to his mouth. "You talkin' from experience?" Harlan's laugh was a dry rasp. "My brother, Jake, fought in Korea with me. Saved my hide more times than I can count. Came home. Different. Loved a fella from the outfit. Town found out. Lynched him like he was cattle gone bad." The words hung, heavy as smoke. Vincent saw it then, the ghost in Harlan's eyes, not cynicism, but grief etched deep. "I'm sorry," Vincent whispered, the fire's warmth no match for the chill. "Don't be. Just don't let it end the same." Harlan's hand clamped on his shoulder, grip firm as an anchor. In that touch, Vincent glimpsed a bridge, tentative and true. But bridges burn easy. Bobby's letters came sporadic, postcards from Laramie, scribbled with love and logistics. "Ma's holdin' on. Sold the tractor. Miss you fierce." Then silence, a week turning to 2. Vincent's dreams turned feverish. Bobby's face dissolving into Harlan's brother's, ropes creaking in the wind. He wrote back feverishly, pouring his soul onto paper, but the mailbox stayed barren. On the night of the full moon, Harlan found him by the creek, bottle of bourbon half empty, staring at the water like it held answers. "He ain't comin' back, is he?" Vincent slurred, the words a confession ripped free. Harlan sat beside him, uninvited but steady. "Sometimes love's a thief. Steals your heart and leaves you wonderin' if it was ever yours." They shared the bottle, stories spilling like the creek, Harlan's youth in the Dust Bowl, Vincent's first kiss with Bobby under a harvest moon. Dawn found them brothers in sorrow, the ranch a fragile sanctuary. Yet fate, cruel as a stampede, had other plans. The truck rumbled back a month later, but it wasn't Bobby at the wheel. It was Tommy Reese, Bobby's cousin from Cheyenne, a slick-talking drifter with a gambler's grin and eyes that lingered too long on Vincent's form. "Bobby sent me," Tommy said, unloading crates of Ma's heirlooms. He's Tied up. Auction went south. Banks takin everything. Vincent's blood roared. Tied up how? Tommy shrugged. Too casual. Girl from town. Pregnant, they say. He's doing right by her. The lie hit like a branding iron. Vincent staggered back, the world blurring. Harlan, emerging from the barn, caught the shift, the way Tommy's gaze flicked away, guilty as sin. That true, boy? The rancher growled. Tommy faltered. Look, it's complicated. Bobby. He cares for you, Vin, but family comes first. That town's eaten him alive. Rage boiled over. Vincent lunged, fist connecting with Tommy's jaw in a crack of bone and betrayal. They tumbled into the dust, rolling in a frenzy of punches and curses. Harlan's shouts lost in the melee. Enough! The shotgun blast into the air parted them like Moses and the sea. Tommy spat blood, scrambling for the truck. You tell Bobby he's made his choice, Vincent roared, chest heaving, the taste of copper on his tongue. As taillights faded, Harlan pulled him up, grip iron. Let it go, son. Or it'll eat you hollow. But Vincent couldn't. The betrayal festered, a poison seeping into every chore, every glance at the creek where promises had been sealed. Harlan tried extra whiskey at night, tales to distract, but the ranch felt smaller, the plains mocking his solitude. Letters from Bobby arrived then, frantic. It ain't what you think. Tommy's lying. Come to Laramie. Please. Vincent burned them, one by one, in the fire pit, watching flames devour the ink like his trust. He chose, he told Harlan over breakfast, voice flat as the horizon. And I ain't chasing ghosts, the old man sighed, setting down his fork. Love ain't a choice, Vincent. It's a sentence. You serve it or you break. For the first time, Harlan's eyes softened, revealing the man beneath the myth, a widower who'd buried his own heart with Jake, never to unearth it. Summer deepened, heat waves shimmering off the asphalt like fever dreams. Vincent threw himself into the ranch with a vengeance, muscles hardening to stone, but his nights were haunted, dreams of Bobby's laugh, his touch, twisting into accusations. Harlan watched the erosion, the way Vincent's smiles cracked at the edges, and one evening, after a cattle drive that left them bone-tired, he broached the unspoken. Ride with me tomorrow, Harlan said, polishing his saddle by lantern light. Up to the ridge. There's something you need to see. Dawn broke crisp, the air sharp with pine as they crested the rise overlooking the valley. Below, the ranch sprawled like a living map, corrals neat, fields greening under irrigation's kiss. But Harlan pointed north, to a weathered cross half buried in sagebrush, marking Jake's secret grave. He's buried here, 'cause town wouldn't have him, Harlan said, voice rough. Loved a man named Eli. Fought side by side. Then came home to this. He pulled a faded photo from his pocket. 2 soldiers, arms slung casual, grins defiant. I hated him for it once. Thought it weakness. Buried that hate with him. Vincent traced the faces, seeing echoes of himself and Bobby. How'd you? Let go. You don't. You carry it different. Harlan's hand found his shoulder again. Steady. Like this place. It don't forgive easy, but it heals if you let it. Tears stung Vincent's eyes, the wind carrying them away. For the first time since the betrayal, he felt the weight lift, a fraction, but enough to breathe. Word came a week later, not by letter, but by storm. Bobby rode in on a borrowed mare, caked in mud and desperation, the Laramie skies unleashing fury behind him. He found Vincent in the barn, currying a gelding, the rhythmic scrape of brush on hide the only sound. "Vin," Bobby choked, dismounting like his legs had forgotten how. Rain dripped from his hat, pooling at his boots. Vincent didn't turn, brush stroke steady. "Heard you got a family now." "Congrats." It was a lie. Tommy, he owed money to the bank, cooked up the story to stall the auction. "Ma's place is gone, but I fought for it. For us." Bobby stepped closer, voice breaking. "I never stopped loving you." "Not for a second." The brush clattered to the floor. Vincent whirled, eyes blazing. "You left me here, doubtin' everything. While that snake spun tales and I burned your words like trash." Bobby closed the gap, hands framing Vincent's face, thumbs wiping rain or tears from his cheeks. "Then punish me. Hate me. But don't let go." His kiss was salt and storm, fierce. Vincent resisting for a heartbeat before crumbling, fists bunching in Bobby's shirt, pulling him closer. They stumbled into the hayloft, thunder rumbling approval, clothes shedding like old skins. Vincent pinned Bobby down, mouths devouring, hands mapping scars and sighs. "You broke me," Vincent growled against his throat, nipping hard enough to mark. Bobby arched, gasping, legs wrapping around him. "Then put you back together," he whispered, guiding Vincent inside, their rhythm a tempest, deep, unrelenting thrusts chasing absolution. Climax crashed like lightning, leaving them wrecked, limbs entwined, breaths sinking in the aftershocks. "Forgive me," Bobby murmured into Vincent's hair. "Not yet," Vincent replied, but his hold tightened, a vow unspoken. Harlan found them at breakfast next morning, awkward but unbroken, Bobby's arm slung casual over Vincent's chair. The old man's nod was approval enough. Coffee poured with a grunt. "Storm's passin'. Work to do, but peace, in the Badlands, is fleeting as a mirage." Whispers reached the ranch by fall. Tommy, nursing grudges in Cheyenne saloons, spinning yarns of that queer ranch hand ruinin' good boys. Town eyes turned. Supplies shorted at the co-op. Harlan's old war buddies crossing streets. The rancher weathered it stoic, but Vincent saw the toll. Deeper lines, a limp that worsened in the cold. Climax brewed slow, erupting one crisp October eve at the county fair in Laramie. Harlan insisted they go. Act normal. Damn it. But normal was a lie they couldn't sell. Amid cotton candy haze and Ferris wheel lights, Tommy cornered them by the beer tent, flanked by roughnecks from the rigs, breath sour with whiskey. "Thought you'd slink off, Crow," Tommy sneered, eyes raking Vincent and Bobby with venom. "But here you are, playin' house with these pansies." Harlan stepped forward, cane thumping dirt like a gavel. "Watch your mouth, Reese. Or I'll watch it for you." Laughter rippled, ugly. One drunk lunged, fist swinging wild. Vincent dodged, countering with a haymaker that dropped him cold. Chaos erupted, chairs toppling, shouts blending with panicked whinnies from the stock pens. Bobby shielded Harlan, taking a boot to the ribs, while Vincent grappled two more, knuckles splitting on teeth. Sheriff's lights cut the night like judgment, hauling the lot to the station, drunks in one cell, Vincent and Bobby in another, Harlan pacing the hall on his good leg. "Fool boys," he muttered through bars, but pride glinted in his eyes. Dawn brought release. Charges dropped. Self-defense. Looks like. But the damage lingered. Tommy's crew spread the tale wide. Crows gone soft for sodomites. Harlan's feed contracts dried up. The ranch teetering on foreclosure's edge. Winter clamped down hard. Snow blanketing the plains in indifferent white. Vincent and Bobby hunkered in. Love a hearth against the cold. Nights wrapped in quilts. Bodies seeking warmth in slow, tender explorations. Vincent's lips charting Bobby's freckles like constellations. Bobby's fingers coaxing sighs from hidden places. "We're buildin' something here," Bobby whispered one blizzard night. Snow howling outside. "A life," Vincent nodded, but doubt gnawed. Harlan's thinning frame. The auction notice pinned to the kitchen wall like a death warrant. Betrayal's second strike came veiled as mercy. Harlan called them to the study one gray afternoon. Ledgers spread like battlefield maps. Banks Callan the note. "Can't hold 'em off." His voice cracked. Eyes on the photo of Jake. "But I got a buyer. Big spread from Montana. Fair price. Enough for you two to start fresh. California, maybe. Where folks don't hang ya for breathin'." Vincent's stomach plummeted. "And you? This place is you." Harlan waved it off. "Old man's time. Jake's waitin'. Besides," he slid an envelope across the desk. "Deed to a back 40. Signed over. This here's yours. Build on it. Something real." Tears blurred the ink. Bobby gripped Vincent's hand under the table. Silent solidarity. "We ain't leaving you to fate alone," Vincent said. Fierce. Harlan chuckled. "Weary. Stubborn as Jake. That's why I took you both that day. Saw myself in it, the fight." The auction day dawned bitter. Wind slicing like accusations. Bidders milled the yard. Montana suits rubbing elbows with locals nursing betrayals. Vincent and Bobby stood sentinel by Harlan, arms linked defiant, as the gavel fell sold, to the highest outlander bid. As trucks hauled away the heart of the ranch, Harlan pulled them aside by Jake's cross, snow dusting his hat like ash. "Go west, boys. But remember, love ain't the land. It's the roots you plant wherever you stand." He handed Vincent the keys to the old Ford, engine rumbling like a farewell. "Take care of each other. That's the only gospel worth a damn." They drove into the sunset, Harlan's silhouette shrinking in the rearview, a rancher who'd traded silence for salvation, taking them both when the world would have left one behind. The plains unfolded endless, a new chapter etched in frost-kissed promise. Years later, on a California hillside dotted with olive groves, Vincent and Bobby built their home, simple, sturdy, with a porch swing for watching stars. Letters from Harlan came regular, tales of Montana winters, a quiet courtship with a widower from town. "Found my Eli," he'd write. Postscript, "Roots run deep." Vincent would read them aloud, Bobby's head on his shoulder, their hands entwined. The betrayal scar faded to silver, a reminder of fragility won through fire. In the end, love wasn't the dramatic blaze or the wrenching storm. It was the steady burn, humanistic and unyielding, a light against the American dark. And on quiet nights, Vincent would whisper to the wind, carrying west, "We made it. Both of us." The California sun hung low, painting the olive groves in strokes of honey and rust, as Vincent hammered the final nail into the porch railing. Sweat beaded on his brow, trickling down the nape of his neck, but the ache in his muscles was a good one, earned. like every mile they'd clawed from Wyoming's grip. Bobby emerged from the house, 2 mason jars of sweet tea sweating in his hands, his shirt unbuttoned just enough to tease the golden trail vanishing into denim. "Looks solid," he said, handing over the drink, fingers lingering in the exchange, a spark that never dulled. Vincent took a swig, the tart chill cutting through dust, and leaned against the rail, surveying their kingdom. 10 acres of gnarled trees heavy with fruit, a creek babbling lazy at the edge, and in the distance, the Pacific's murmur like an old lover's sigh. "Solid as us," he replied, pulling Bobby close by the belt loop. Their kiss was lazy, sun-warmed, tongues tracing familiar paths, no urgency now, just the deep contentment of bodies that knew each other's rhythms by heart. It had been 2 years since the ranch's fall, 2 years of scraping by in motels strung along Highway 1, picking up odd jobs, Vincent welding frames in Oakland shipyards, Bobby tending bar in Carmel dives where tourists tipped fat for his smile. They'd saved every dime. Harlan's back 40 deed their talisman, sold quietly to fund this plot near Santa Cruz. No fanfare, no parade, just 2 men staking claim in a land that, if not always kind, at least pretended tolerance. Nights were their sacrament. After the groves quieted, crickets chorusing approval, they'd retreat to the bedroom, a simple space with an iron bedstead and quilts from Bobby's ma, her cough finally stilled in a Laramie nursing home. Vincent would light the kerosene lamp, its glow soft on Bobby's skin as he knelt, hands reverent on Vincent's thighs. "Missed this," Bobby always murmured, though days apart were rare now, his mouth hot and insistent, drawing gasps that echoed off adobe walls. Vincent's fingers threaded through blonde curls, guiding gently, the world dissolving to the wet slide and hollow ache building low. When release crested, it was shared, Vincent pulling Bobby up, flipping their positions with a growl, burying deep in the slick heat, thrusts measured and profound. "Love you," Vincent panted against his ear, Bobby's legs locked around his waist, nails scoring his back in sweet pain. Their climax tangled, a symphony of shudders and sighs, leaving them melted together, hearts thundering in unison. Mornings brought routine, coffee black as midnight on the porch, planning the harvest, dreaming of a roadside stand selling oil and tapenades. "We could name it Badlands Gold," Bobby joked one dawn, feet in Vincent's lap, toes curling under absent-minded strokes. "Taste of home, without the Hanjin trees," Vincent chuckled, but home tugged a phantom limb. Harlan's letters sustained them, updates on his Montana spread, bought a bull named Jake. Stubborn cuss, just like him. Enclosed were checks, small but steady, for roots, scrawled on the memo line, reminders of the debt they could never repay. Trouble brewed subtle, like fog rolling off the bay. Their neighbors, the Garcias, were salt of earth. Maria with her tamales, Juan teaching Bobby irrigation tricks, but whispers slithered through the valley. "Those boys from the east. You know, a slashed tire here, a rock through the stand's window there, etched with slurs that stung deeper than glass shards." Vincent ignored it, channeling fury into the land, felling dead wood for fence posts, muscles coiling like springs under sun-bronzed skin. But Bobby, softer-hearted, frayed at the edges. "We fought so hard for this," he confessed one evening, as they walked the creek, fireflies winking like conspirators. "Why's it still a battle? 'Cause folks fear what shines brighter than their own," Vincent said, drawing him into an embrace, chins hooked over shoulders. The water lapped their boots, cool and forgiving. They made love there, urgent against a willow trunk. Bobby's back to bark, Vincent lifting him effortlessly, entering slow, eyes locked in wordless vow. The rhythm built fierce, nature's chorus their witness, release a roar swallowed by twilight. Harlan visited that spring, truck rattling up the drive like thunder from the past. Thinner now, silver threading his beard, but his limp was steadier, arm looped casual with Elias, the widower, a quiet man with carpenter's hands and eyes that crinkled warm. Brought reinforcements, Harlan boomed, unloading crates of Wyoming jerky and a bottle of moonshine. Elias hung back, shy, but Bobby pulled him into hugs, the air thick with easy kinship. They feasted under string lights that night, grilled olives, Maria's contributed empanadas, stories flowing freer than wine. Harlan regaled with Montana yarns, Grizzlies raiding coops, Elias's dry wit punctuating like grace notes. Found my peace, the old man said later, by the fire pit, Vincent stoking embers. Took losin' everything to see it. Vincent nodded, glancing at Bobby laughing with Elias over cards. You gave us ours. Harlan clapped his back. Nah. You boys took it. Fought for it. His gaze lingered, proud. Jake'd be jealous. The visit mended cracks, but summer scorched them open anew. A developer from San Francisco eyed the valley, condos. He pitched. Progress for the coast. The Garcias held firm, but pressure mounted. Offers sweetened. Anonymous calls souring the line. Vincent found the first threat scrawled on their gate. Go back east. Freaks. Rage simmered to strategy. They rallied neighbors. Potlucks turned town halls. Bobby's charm oiling reluctant wheels. This land's fed generations, he'd say, voice steady as prayer. Ain't sellin' souls for view condos. Vincent anchored him. Nights when doubt crept in. Strong arms pulling Bobby from bed's edge. Kisses trailing spine to curve of hip. We're unbreakable, Vincent whispered, entering from behind. Slow rocks building to crescendo. Bobby's moans a mantra of resilience. Climax came literal one August dusk. A rally at the county seat. Banners flapping in salt breeze. Save our valley. Vincent and Bobby stood front row. Hands clasped defiant. Harlan's letter read aloud. Fight like hell. Roots don't yield. Cheers swelled. But as dusk fell, a pickup idled curbside. Tommy Reese, ghost from the Badlands, face twisted in barroom ruin. Still playin' house. Ha! He slurred from the window, bottle glinting. Before Vincent could lunge, shots cracked, wild, warning into air. Panic scattered the crowd, but Bobby shoved Vincent down, glass shattering nearby. Elias, in the fray, tackled Tommy's accomplice, fists flying true. Sheriff hauled them off, charges sticking this time, attempted intimidation, priors unearthed. The valley exhaled, developers retreating like tide. But victory tasted bittersweet. A gash on Bobby's arm from flying debris, stitched in ER glow. As leaves turned amber, Harlan's letters grew sparse, then stopped. A call from Montana shattered the quiet. Heart attack, quick and clean. Wanted you to know, Elias said, voice thick. Said to tell you. Took 'em both. Every time, they drove north through veils of rain. Funeral small under big skies, Harlan beside Jake at last. Elias stoic with a bouquet of wild asters. Vincent and Bobby shoveled earth, shoulders brushing, tears salting the soil. He saved us, Bobby whispered, leaning on the grave marker. Gave us wings, Vincent corrected, arm around his waist. Back in California, autumn harvest yielded bounty. Olives pressed to golden oil, stand bustling with locals toasting Badlands gold. They expanded the porch, added a bench for two, engraved subtle, V&B, 1952. Winter brought peace, snow rare but welcome on coastal hills. One eve, as rain pattered tin roof, Bobby knelt by the hearth, ring glinting in firelight, a simple band, scavenged from Elias's gift box. Marry me, Vin. Legal now, in this crazy state. Make it forever. Vincent pulled him up, kiss sealing the yes unspoken. They celebrated slow, bodies worshipful. Vincent on knees, mouth devoted to Bobby's pleasure. Then reversed, sighs building to harmonious peak. Spring bloomed vows exchanged in grove shade. Maria officiating with tamales and tears. Elias best man with Harlan's cane as prop. To roots, he toasted, glasses clinking. Years wove on, groves thriving, love deepening grooves in faces once young. Children came borrowed, nieces and nephews from the Garcias, summers filled with laughter and lessons in resilience. Betrayals faded to footnotes, conflicts to campfires' tales. In twilight years, on that porch swing, Vincent's head on Bobby's shoulder, they'd watch sun dip oceanward. Took us both, Vincent murmured, echoing the hook that started it all. Bobby smiled, hand over heart. And we'd do it again. Humanism's grace. Not perfection, but persistence, the American dream, queer and unbowed, in the quiet victory of two souls entwined. The swing creaked under their weight, a lullaby rhythm against the coastal hush, as Vincent traced lazy circles on Bobby's knee, the skin there freckled and familiar as scripture. Dusk bled purple into the groves. Fireflies, late bloomers in this mild clime, dancing like errant stars. Remember the creek? Vincent asked, voice low, laced with that Wyoming drawl time hadn't fully sanded away. Bobby chuckled, deep in his chest, pulling Vincent's hand to his lips for a kiss. How could I forget? You, all fire and fury, promisin' the moon while the water tried to drown us out. His eyes, still that impossible blue, held memories. Stolen nights, bodies slick with creek mud and desire. Vincent's weight pinning him to pebbled bank. Thrusts urgent as confessions. Best promises I ever kept. Vincent shifted, swing protesting, to capture Bobby's mouth. Slow, savoring, tongues curling like vines. Heat stirred low, familiar ache, but they lingered in the prelude. Hands roaming shirts unhurried, breaths mingling salt and sage. Still keepin' Vincent murmured, nipping earlobe, eliciting a shiver that ran straight to his core. Decades had layered them like orchard rings. Vincent at 62, silver threading his dark hair, lines etching laugh and scowl in equal measure. Bobby, a year shy, his gold locks faded to wheat, but the spark undimmed, body still lean from grove work. Retirement beckoned soft, leasing rows to young farmers. Time for travels. Route 66 echoes, Grand Canyon sunrises, hands clasped across diner booths. Yet ghosts lingered, benevolent now. Harlan's cane hung by the door. Elias's visits annual pilgrimages with Montana tales and moonshine batches. The valley had gentrified gentle. Condos built respectful. Neighbors waving rainbows at pride floats. But scars whispered. Faded slurs on gateposts. Tommy Reese's end in a Cheyenne gutter. News clipping framed rye. Karma's long ride. One April morn. As azaleas unfurled pink against adobe, a letter arrived. Yellowed envelope. Postmark Laramie. Bobby slid it open over coffee, steam curling like question marks. Inside, a deed fragment. His ma's old spread, reclaimed by distant kin, willed now to the boys who saved her heart. Accompanying note. From a cousin. She spoke of you always. Come see. Vincent set down his mug. Steam forgotten. Wyoming calls. You game. Bobby's grin split wide. Ride or die. Cowboy. They packed light. Ford restored. Harlan's gift. Rumbling faithful and hit the road. Windows down. Springsteen crooning from crackling radio. Thunder Road, a hymn to highways and heartaches. Plains unfolded memory taped. Badlands buttes like petrified dreams. The ranch's ghost a hollow in Vincent's chest. Laramie greeted changed. Main Street boutiques where dives once brooded. Mary's steeple proud with rainbow banners. The old spread waited outskirts. Weathered but standing. Corral sagging nostalgic. Cousin May, sharp-eyed at 70, enveloped them in hugs scented lavender and loss. Ma would have danced at your weddin', she said. Eyes misty. Always knew you two were the real deal. They toured slow. Kitchen where Bobby learned biscuits. Barn rafters etched with initials, V+B. Knife carved defiant. Dusk found them on the porch. Maize pie cooling nearby. Stars pricking velvet sky. Feels like comin' home, Bobby said, head on Vincent's shoulder. Or leavin' it better, Vincent replied, fingers interlaced, pulse steady sink. Nights in the old bed were pilgrimage. Sheets crisp, air thick with dust motes and desire. Bobby straddled Vincent's hips, rocking deliberate, hands braced on chest hair silvered soft. Show me, he breathed, Vincent's palms guiding hips, thrusts upward meeting midway deep, unyielding, gasps painting the dark. Release built tectonic, crashing shared, bodies quaking in afterglow's cradle. May gifted the place outright next dawn, roots for your roots, but they declined gentle. Donating to a youth center, safe haven, plaque to read, for queer kids adrift. Pay it forward, Vincent said, Bobby nodding fierce. Eastward return skirted storms, literal and latent. In Denver, a flat tire stranded them motel side, neon buzzing vacancy like Morse. Clerk's glance lingered, curious, not cruel, but Vincent caught the flinch, old instincts flaring. Room small, bed sagging, they claimed it thorough. Vincent pressing Bobby to the wall, mouth devouring neck, hands divesting jeans in frenzy. Mine, he growled, spinning him, entering swift from behind, pounding rhythm chasing shadows, Bobby's cries muffled in pillow. Climax a thunderclap release. Always, Bobby panted, turning for tender aftermath. Kisses saline. Home bloomed fuller. Center funded. Letters from teens. Your story saved me. Tucked in a box with Harlan's missives. Summers. They mentored grove tours for runaways. Tales of Badlands bravery over olive tastings. Love's the revolution, Bobby preached, Vincent's arm around waist, anchor eternal. Autumn brought Elias, frielier now, Montana tales thinner but eyes bright. Harlan visits in dreams, he confided over porch tea. Says y'all did good. They buried him spring next. Ashes scattered Jake's cross site. Vincent and Bobby soul mourners, hands clasped in dirt's embrace. Aging crept insidious. Vincent's knee twinging like Harlan's limp, Bobby's cough echoing Ma's. Docs prescribed pills and patience. But nights affirmed vitality. Lovemaking adapted. Tender. Spoon slow. Vincent's hand stroking Bobby to peak. Then guided inside. Rock's gentle building to shared size. Crisis crested mild October. Harvest moon fat as folly. Vincent collapsed mid-row. Chest seizing. World graying to Bobby's shout. Our lights harsh. Diagnosis stark. Heart murmur. Surgery slotted. Scared, Bobby asked bedside. Fingers laced white-knuckled. Only of leavin' you? Vincent rasped, pulling him close for salt-laced kiss. Recovery was grit. Scars zipper chest, but spirit unbowed. Bobby nursed fierce. Broths and banter. Nights curled careful. Hands exploring new contours with reverence. Stronger now, Bobby whispered one eve. Mouth trailing incision. Vincent arching into the worship. Release soft as dawn. Winter wove wisdom. They wrote memoirs. Badlands to Groves. Self-published slim. Tales of sacrifice and survival. Readings drew crowds. Queer elders nodding kin. Youth wide-eyed inspired. Humanities in the Holden on. Vincent read. Bobby's gaze his compass. Spring saw the center thrive. Haven House ribbon cut. Rooms for 30. Plaque gleaming. In memory of those who took us both. They toured. Teens clustering, stories swapped. Hugs healing. Decades crested. Bodies betraying slow. Walkers paired. Swing widened. One eve, as sun dipped gold, Bobby leaned into Vincent, breath shallow. Best ride, he murmured, hand over heart. Vincent kissed brow, tears tracing. Took you instead. Every time, Dawn claimed Bobby gentle, Vincent beside, fingers entwined to last. Grief hollowed, but groves whispered solace, roots deep, branches reaching. Vincent endured seasons more. Cane echoing Harlan's. Letters to ghosts. Miss you. But we won. Passing quiet. Ashes joined Bobby's under olive patriarch. Stone simple. V and B forever. Humanism's echo. Love's legacy. Not loss. A chain unbroken. American wild and tender. In the quiet bloom of what endures. The stone caught morning light. Dew-kissed letters shimmering like unshed tears. As Vincent's nieces, grand in all but blood, placed wildflowers at its base. Petals a riot of coastal color against granite gray. Maria's daughter, Sophia, now 40 with her mother's fire, squeezed his arm. He'd be proud, Tio. Both of them. The grove hummed agreement. Leaves rustling soft applause. Olive orbs swelling promise. Vincent nodded. Throat tight. The cane, Harlan's relic, steadying his stance. 87 now. Frame wiry as sagebrush. Eyes still storm-dark under brows arched wise. Bobby's absence was a companionable hollow, filled with memories that played like faded reels. Creekside passions, porch swing confessions, the raw ache of betrayals mended. Mornings, he'd brew tea double strong, setting Bobby's mug opposite, steam curling ghosts. Life persisted stubborn. The center flourished, Haven House a beacon, expanded with grants to shelter 50, gardens echoing their groves where kids learned soil's forgiveness. Vincent volunteered weekly, cane tapping halls like metronome, stories spun for rapt ears. Love ain't linear, kids. It's the detour that carves you true. One such afternoon, a boy 17, all limbs and shadows, named Alex, lingered after group, eyes haunted as Vincent's once were. How'd you know? Back then, I mean, when it could have killed you. Vincent eased onto a bench. Grove breeze teasing petals. Felt it in my bones. Like breathin' after drownin'. Scary as hell, but truer than fear. Alex nodded. Hunger sated a fraction. And Vincent slipped him a worn photo. Him and Bobby, young and fierce on the ranch porch. Arms slung defiant. Keep it. Reminder, you ain't alone. Word spread. The center's library swelling with their book, second printings. Dog-eared by dreamers. Elias's kin visited summers. Montana yarns evolved. Grandkids romping rose. Uncle Harlan's ghost tells the best ones. Solitude suited, but community knit tight. Sophia's barbecues filled the porch. Laughter chasing dusk. Her son, out and proud. Med student sharp, debating politics with Vincent's gravel wit. World's changin'. Tio. You started it. Nah. Vincent grunted, forking ribs. Just held on till it caught up. Nights were ritual. Supper simple olives, bread, cheese from local wheels, eaten by lamplight. Bobby's chair pulled close. After, he'd shuffle to bed, quilts tucked military, hands seeking phantom warmth. Dreams vivid. Bobby's laugh echoing canyons, touches electric across decades. Awakening, he'd smile rueful, tracing the empty side. Mornin', trouble. Spring brought revival. A teen crisis at the center, runaway named Jordan, 16 and shattered, fists bruised from home's wrath. Vincent found him huddled in the garden, knees to chest, rain mingling tears. Come on, kid. Porch ain't far. He brewed cocoa, thick with marshmallows, settling beside with a sigh. Jordan's story spilled jagged. Pa's belt, Ma's silence, town's turning gaze. Ain't nowhere safe. Vincent's hand found his shoulder. Grip Harlan steady. There is. Right here. And further, Grove's waitin'. Stories to share. He talked then of boys in Badlands begging mercy, ranchers granting grace, of betrayals bitten back, loves forged in fire. Jordan listened, walls cracking. You. Lost him. Lost? Nah. Lent him to the stars. He checks in, winks from fireflies. A chuckle rumbled, chasing shadows. That night, Jordan slept sound. Vincent's tale's talisman. Word of the old cowboy sage drew more youth-seeking scripture in his cadence. He obliged. Cane prop tales weaving humanism's thread. Ain't about winning every fight. To showing up, scars and all. Summer scorched gentle. Grove's yielding record. Proceeds funding center scholarships. Sophia organized a festival, Roots and Rainbows. Stands hawking Badlands gold. Bands thumping queer anthems under strung lights. Vincent keynote reluctant. Voice gravel over mic. We took each other, against odds stacked sky high. That's the American in us, wild, wounded, wonderin' still. Cheers thundered. Jordan, now crew t-shirt clad, hugging fierce post-speech. You took me too. Kinda. Vincent ruffled damp hair. Family's what you fight for. Autumn whispered change. Doc visits routine. The cough lingered, deep-chested like Bobby's ma. Nothing serious, the quack said. Prescribing rest Vincent ignored. Elias's granddaughter, Lila 20, art major fierce, visited then, sketching the stone, questions probing gentle. How'd it feel, lovin' that hard, knowin' the cost? Vincent pondered, eyes on horizon sea. Like breathin' fire. Burns, but lights the dark. She captured it canvas bold. Two silhouettes entwined under Wyoming moon, olive branches framing, title scrawled, "Sacrifices glow, sold at auction, proceeds to Haven." Lila's grin wide. "Your story, amplified. Winter bit sharper, joints protesting chill, but center's holiday drive warmed. Trees trimmed rainbow, carols queer infused." Jordan, fostered now with a local couple, helped string lights, his laugh once rare ringing free. "Oh you, old man, pay it forward." Vincent winked, cane-tapping tune. Crisis crested Yule Eve. Snow, freak for coast, blanketing groves white, power flickering out. Center generator hummed, but Vincent trekked homeward. Ford skidding black ice, heart-lurching twin to engine stutter. Stranded half-mile, he hoofed it, cane sinking drifts, breath clouding prayers. Sophia found him porchside, blue-lipped but bull-headed. "Stubborn fool," she fussed, bundling him fireside, cocoa steaming. Jordan tagged along, stocking stuffed with cookies. Family don't freeze alone. That night, dreams converged. Bobby golden, Harlan grizzled, Jake spectral, all beckoning, hands outstretched. "Time's Callan," Bobby said. "Kiss featherlight." Dawn broke clear, Vincent waking resolved. He rallied the center spring endowment drive. Legacy leaves, youth pitching ideas, his nod approval seal. Jordan emceed gala, suit sharp, voice steady. From Badlands boy to this, thanks to one man's grace. Summer saw Lila's mural unveiled. Wall-sized, Vincent and Bobby Young, reaching through storms to sun. Dedication teared up, toasts to roots eternal. Aging accelerated autumnal. Falls frequent, Doc's verdict soft. Months, maybe. Vincent planned pragmatic, wills to center, ashes to stone. Sophia protested. "Fight it." "Fought enough," he smiled. Time to ride on. Winter wrapped gentle, bedbound but lucid. Visitors streaming, youth with tales. Lila sketching bedside. Jordan reading their book aloud. Voice cracking chapters. "Miss him?" Jordan asked final eve. "Fire low." "Every beat," Vincent whispered. But grateful for the dance. Passing moonlit, hand in Jordan's. He slipped quiet, dreams waiting, loves reunited. Funeral groveside, center choir singing Thunder Road, stone adorned blooms. Legacy bloomed, Haven scholarships in his name, Grove's trust held, stories etched hearts. Humanism's harvest, one man's sacrifice seeding fields of freedom, American tapestry queer-threaded, enduring vibrant. The mural watched over the gala like a benevolent elder, Vincent and Bobby's younger selves gazing down with that unbreakable gaze, colors vivid under twinkle lights strung like constellations. Jordan adjusted his tie, now director at 28, suit tailored sharp, heart hammering as guests milled. Donors in pearls, youth in ripped jeans, Lila circulating with champagne flutes and her latest canvas tucked under arm. "To absent friends," she toasted, eyes on the mural, glass clinking a chorus. Haven House thrummed alive. Wings added for counseling suites. Garden expanded with benches carved initials, anonymous nods to pioneers. Proceeds from tonight's auction would fund a residency, Crowbobby Fellowships, for queer artists healing through craft. Jordan scanned the crowd, spotting Sophia, silver-streaked now, still fierce, arm in arm with her wife, their daughter reciting poetry on stage, voice a bridge across generations. "Killed it," Jordan murmured post-recital, hugging the girl 18, all fire and freckles. Your tiost be hoopend, she beamed, glancing mural ward. Uncle Vincent always said, speak your truth, even if voice shakes. The auction kicked off electric. Lila's portrait fetching thousands. A donated Ford, Harlan's lineage traced, going to a teen learning mechanics. Jordan emceed smooth. Anecdotes laced Vincent's gravel wit. He'd say, bids ain't charity. They're bets on tomorrow. Paddle raised high. A Montana rancher, Elias's kin, claimed the car. For the old man's spirit. Cheers swelled. Jordan's throat tight. The room a tapestry of lives Vincent's grace had woven. Afterglow lingered patio. Stars pricking velvet. Youth clustering Jordan like elder now. A new kid, 14. Eyes wide as saucers, tugged his sleeve. He really begged for his guy? Like, on knees. Jordan knelt eye level. Smile soft. Dust and desperation. Rancher saw the real bid. 2 hearts worth savant. The boy nodded. Hunger eased a notch. Pocketing a gala program like talisman. Sophia pulled Jordan aside later. Wine glasses in hand. You're doin' 'em proud. But don't forget livin' it. Her gaze sharpened. Maternal. That spark in your eye, fadin'? He chuckled. But truth nipped. Directorship devoured days. Nights solitary in the apartment overlooking groves. Once Vincent's. Willed with the swing. Dates fizzled. Hookups hollow. Love felt distant as Badlands. Time for my own roots, he conceded. Sophia's hug fierce. Spring unfurled change. Jordan hired deputy, capable queer Latina, Lena, with a laugh that lit rooms, delegating to breathe. Their first coffee veered personal. Her stories of border crossings, his of foster drifts. Sounds like Vincent's playbook, she said, eyes crinkling. Taquine chances on strays. He flushed, but the seed took. Dates bloomed casual. Hikes in the groves. Hands brushing trails. Dinners on the porch. Swing creaking confessions. Scared, Lena asked one dusk. Head on his shoulder. Fireflies winking approval. Petrified, Jordan admitted, turning to kiss her, soft, exploratory, heat building slow. They tumbled inside, clothes shedding like doubts, her body curve and strength under his hands. Lovemaking tentative then fervent, Jordan exploring with reverence, mouth tracing collarbone to breast, her gasps guiding deeper, her turn dominant, straddling, rhythm sinking sighs to stars. Climax shared, afterglow tangled. She whispered, roots with me. He nodded, tears pricking, legacy alive, love's chain unbroken. Summer saw commitments. Rings exchanged grove shade, Vincent's stone witness, Sophia officiating with tamales and toasts. To taquine each other, she said, echoing hooks long past. Fall brought expansion. Fellowships launched. First artist, a trans poet from Tulsa, reading under mural, verses of sacrifice and bloom. Jordan and Lena honeymooned Montana, tracing Harlan's spread, now eco-ranch, kin welcoming with jerky and yarns. He'd approve, the cousin said, pointing Jake's cross, Esther's wild. Winter wove family, Lena pregnant, ultrasound wand tracing miracle, Jordan's hand on belly, wonder wide. Boy or girl, they get the stories, he vowed, kissing her temple. Center marked anniversaries. Vincent's passing plaque unveiled, youth etching thanks. Jordan keynote, voice steady. He taught us, humanism's the hold through betrayal, storm, silence. Love's the grip that outlasts. Years cascaded. Child born, Alexandra, firebrand tiny, Toddling rose, Jordan hoisting high. Lena climbed ranks, co-directing haven. Their home porch expanded. Swing for three. Grandkids came borrowed. Center youth fostered short-term. Alexandra bossing with toddler tyranny. Lessons in resilience over olive snacks. Papa Jordan says you begged once, she lisped at 5. Eyeing mural. He laughed, pulling her lapward. Begged for love. Best bet I saw. Aging graced them, Jordan 60. Silver-suited. Lena vibrant beside. Alexandra grown. Activist sharp. Marrying in the garden. Partner a coder with Bobby's blue eyes. Vows echoed. Take each other. Always. Jordan teared. Whispering to Stone later. Did good. Old man. Twilight years. Swing creaked quartet. Grandkids romping. Stories circling. Lena's hand in his. Steady as ever. Worth the ride. Every dust mile. He murmured. Kiss ceiling. Passing tandem. Old and entwined. Ashes joined the stone V. The J. L. Grove Guardian. Legacy eternal. From Badlands plea to coastal bloom. A lineage of loves taken bold. American saga humanistic. Hearts held fierce against fading light. In the end, the wind through olives sang it simple, we took them all. And thrived.